Hello, welcome. My name is Manuel from Kata Studios. Today we're going to be doing a full revision of some of the submission we received last week. Okay, these are e-commerce, basic websites, and the rest. One of which is the price plan made by Dara. I think this really impressed me, and we are going to be talking about this in a little while. So let's start with So Fine by Fabulous. Okay, so the header section looks really nice now, except for this, the text in the normal state should be darker. The text in normal state should be darker, just as the text on the hover state is brighter on a darker background. Using a lighter background, make sure the text is a little more legible so people can easily read. And there should be a hover state on these particular elements. So when I'm hovering on this, I should be able to feel that this is actually a button, possibly by the change of color or so. You did very well with your logo. And the hero section looks very nice to me, and the transitions is very subtle and quick. Your copy here, unlock the secrets of your beautiful skin. I love this, very simple and straightforward copy. And the background image, very high quality. I must give you an accolade for that. Scrolling down, we have the store section, and you have welcome to. This is also not legible. I can't see it clearly. I understand what you're trying to do. What I would suggest you do in this case is to reduce the opacity of the background to a very high minimal. Let me see if I have an example of that from one of a client's projects. Okay. So let's try out Photoshop. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you see, this should be reduced to the lowest minimal, possibly put a tiny stroke around it to make it a little more visible. Okay, but the background color itself shouldn't be too shaded from the main background. This is very shaded from the main background, and the text itself gray doesn't make any sense. I think you use the color property from the variant of the background color. So possibly you use a little bit of brown here. It will work well with milk white, and that will make more sense. Light brown, I mean. Okay, just as you can see from here, you see we are using a little bit of light brown, which is working well with the milk background. So just put that in perspective. And coming to this other section, the store, everything works very well here, I must say. Just give the border, the edges of this, put it a little bit curved so that they can blend well with the button. There should be consistency with your radius, okay? Your radius having a button, your radius being in a button, there should be a radius here as well. I like the fact that I don't need to talk too much about these sections and I move on. I really love that. So scrolling down to this, and by the way, we have reviewed this in our previous section. You can go check out how the website looked previously before now and see the corrections I've made. This is the second level correction for this, and this is the final correction, by the way. Okay, this section looks very well, but to make this more epic and more playful, when I hover on this, there should be, this should like tilt, or maybe this image should go a little bit higher and this image should go a little bit lower. That will make it a little more playful and make the layout look more funful, okay? And also your button is not consistent. I see you are using a curved box button type, not a circle. As you use circle here, there should be the circle button border radius, the curved border radius should apply to all buttons. So if you're using box type, make sure it applies to every area of your website. If you're using circle, make sure it applies to every area of your website. Coming down to this section, I don't like the fact that this text is too long. So we don't need too much of text in this area. The text should start somewhere from here and end somewhere here, okay? That's very cool. Or even end in the tested area. This will make more sense. The same applies to the second line, and that will be more interesting. Okay, so make changes to that and it will make more sense. The space between this text top and bottom is, you see the space, there is no space there at all. So add a little more space to that and it will make more sense. Your button here should be left aligned, not center aligned, because your elements here are left aligned. The same applies to this one. Button should be left aligned or should be full width. So that will make more sense that way. Scrolling down to the next section, I love this section, it makes more sense. The text size you are using at the top layer of your content should be consistent all around the website. So for instance, the text size you are using here should also be the same text size we are using for that particular layout. It's not the same thing, so inspect those two and make the corrections. The frequently asked questions section, you did very well here. I don't have anything to say there. and this particular area works well. I like the fact you adjusted the thing I talked about. So the image and the container should be the same height, not image and the container being in the middle and the image having this height. So being the same height, even though it's not the same height coming down, it's no problem. But at the top side, it should be the same. This could run in the same line. This should run. You can reach out to us. Should be in the same line. It shouldn't break because there is enough space to accommodate it. And this is just less than half of this particular section. So no need of breaking it. Okay. And the service inquiry should also be small as the content you use for the testimonial and the rest of them. The footer section, everything works well. Everything is well aligned. Okay. Perfect. And everything here is fine. Just social media icon. This shouldn't be in the social media area. This specific one should be moved beneath here if possible. Social media should be left alone to stay on its own. Okay. Fact section and the hover effect should be the color of this particular button. So there should be consistency between this. When I hover on this, I want to see the same color that I'm feeling from here. There should be a close relationship between the feel on hover state. So that is it for you, fabulous. For your client's website, so fine skin, you did very wonderful well. And we are not here to check other pages. At least all of the corrections you made here can now be transferred to the rest of the pages. We get to the next one, deradesigner.com, and this is designed from Dera. Okay, and we did the correction for this last time, and it made a lot of corrections. And I love the fact that you adjusted everything here. Looks very fine. If I am a client, I will employ you for this. You did very wonderful work here. Client looking to achieve this kind of service, I sure will employ you for this. Now, this particular area, I don't like the fact that I'm hovering and the buttons are geoterrain. What you need to do in this is make sure that if you're adding a stroke on a button, make sure you add it on the hover. If you're adding a stroke on the hover, make sure you add it on the normal state. So the stroke you added on the hover is not present in the normal state. That's why this is geoterrain. Okay, the stroke, you added stroke to this button, that's why this one is not geoterrain. There is a stroke in this one, there is no stroke in this one. So add the stroke in the normal state, or just, okay, you can't copy the style of this to this because this is a stroke based version. And why you can't see it is because, see, this is a stroke. You already added a stroke on the normal state, that's why you're not seeing the effect. Now for this, since it is a field color, still add a stroke to it. They made the stroke the same color of the field color, so it won't be recognizable. Okay, let me see if there's any instance where I did something like that. There are many instances where I add strokes. I think this one I added stroke. So this one I added stroke. So look closely. You see there's no geoterrain, and you see that I added a stroke on it. See that white tiny line around it. I just try to make it look a little bit different. You can still make the stroke the same color of the button, and it still makes sense. So coming down, I don't like this section. Just remove it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just pull out this section and make your page very simple. This makes it look a little bit complex. When it gets to this time, I'll teach you how to actually use this particular marquee layout. This is called marquee text. Now, coming down to this area, I like this area. You did very nice work from here. You tried your best. Reduce the text size here a little. Just make everything one line here will make sense. Okay, because texts are little, very small. Here you did very wonderful work. Very wonderful work. Just that I should have an effect, slow effect that will transition this. The effect is too harsh. You get the point. So make it a little more slower. Okay, that will make more sense. Apart from that, there should be a space, more space, add more gap or gutter around all of this content. And adjust this button a little more from the container at the top. Adjust the button a little more below. Okay? This section, you did very wonderful work here, but break this into two. This one should go under the health food. Okay, break it into two and increase the size a little more. I so much love what you did in the background. You did very, very wonderful work here, I must say. Very wonderful work here. I love this. I love this. Consistency in your work, I love it so much. I love it so, so much. You did very well here. I don't have much to talk about in this section. You did very well there. Now, this section, I don't really feel comfortable about it. This image itself should start from the edge here. The image should start from the edge, the right edge of this particular area. And these buttons, the icon itself should be a darker yellow. Let me see if I can give you that yellow right now. So let's take, for instance, I'm using this text as an instance. Let's use this. We already have the instance here. Okay, let's use this option. So the yellow you are using currently is a yellow like this, and it makes it not legible. Okay, so we are going to go down a little. You see, we go down a little and then we add a little bit of thickness. You see, this is the yellow I'm talking about. Very dark yellow will make more sense. If you watch, I used it in this wall tog. That's what you're going to do there. If you're using that yellow, make it. And your icon is very ugly. Very, very ugly icon. Now look at where you're going to get icons. Very beautiful icons. You can get beautiful icons from this particular link. I'll be providing it in the link description below. Okay, you can get very beautiful icons here. You can download them as SVG or PNG or whatever and use them in your projects. Okay, stop using ugly icons. Look at the icon name. It's called what? www.flaticon.com. Let me zoom that closely so you can see and copy that. See? Copy it and use it for your icons. Perfect. Scrolling down the contact section works very well. The frequently asked question with the contact section, it's also okay. Your hover effect here is not good. It's not consistent. If I am hovering on other elements here and it's showing green over yellow, and I understand that this is already a green background, you're not supposed to use green. So you are supposed to use yellow here. And when I hover, it should now be green, but a lighter green than the background. That's how it's supposed to work. Possibly a lighter green like this one we have from over here. Apart from that, every other thing here looks very interesting to me. Very interesting and intriguing to me. You did very wonderful work here, I must say. Okay? So, congrats to you, Dara. You did very wonderful. For this, so fine, I'm scoring you an 8 out of 10. For Dara, I'm scoring you 7.5 out of 10. Okay? Now, we'll get to the next Kwayo by HB Concept. HB Concept, you did very wonderful work here. I think these are not buttons yet because I'm not seeing the effect of a button, and you did very well with the button styles. And your image here is very high quality. I love that. Remove this line at the top of your menu. This is very boring. Since you have the effect on the text, there is no need having that distraction again there. Okay? And another thing I noticed is that the width of your header is shorter than the width of your hero section. See, the width of the hero section is longer than the width, which means your hero section is content is taking more space than the width of this. So the best practice for the width of your header should be 1,200 if you want to use a very shorter one, but 1,350 pixels if you want to use a very longer one. As you can see, the option we use from here in the hero section, the width is 1,300. You see how it looks? Okay, and make sure it is consistent all around your sections. All sections must have to inherit it, unless sections of full width, like the one that Dara have here. This one now doesn't have any, but the content must have to respect those content to go within that particular area. So make sure that your header is the widest content in your website, widest section in your website. No other section should be wider than your header, and that is the rule. So scrolling down here, you did very wonderful work here, but I don't like the fact that whenever I scroll down, this animation happens again and again. So I'll suggest you make the animation happen only once and allow it to users to enjoy the content from there. Scrolling down, your button here looks nice. Our products, this could be our recent product because this is not our product. This is recent product. If it's our product, then you're talking about the store itself, our recent product, and then you can see visit our store here, not see all. Okay, visit our store. Make it emphatic, so people know where they are going to. Okay, now this particular place, the border radius, the style of this thing, I love it so much, but people won't understand the icon and what it means. So I suggest you add to cart option, even though you want to add an icon over here. And the icon color, I don't like it. I don't enjoy the border around this icon, which is yellow. If you're using an icon and the background is a particular color, make sure the border around it plays along with it. Okay, you don't even need to add a border again. We already have a border. Just change the background color, and that's enough for users to know. The essence of hover before and after is to make it easier for a client or visitors to know that that particular element is actually clickable. Apart from that, the rest of the things look perfectly well. Section is very beautiful. I love it also. The text here is very tiny. I don't like it. So increase the size of the text a little and contrast them a little. They are too wide. Very, very wide. Can contrast them to take only 70% of the width of that container they are. You actually put this in a container and you allow it to flow without even controlling it. You didn't constrain it. No, there should be a space between the container. I'm assuming there's a box container here, and that box container, you're actually leaving this content to flow from beginning to end. That is not design, okay? Your design should be what? Should be constrained even if it is inside a container. So which means if this is inside this container, there should be a padding around the container that will make it very easy for users to actually enjoy the content inside. As you can see from here, we constrain this one, Let me still show you. We constrain this content. As you can see, the text here is not starting from the beginning to the end. Let me still show you another one if there's another instance like that. Let's go up. Same thing applies to this. Just that, okay? Constrain your elements to actually work within the layout that is designated to it. And also, I don't like the fact that whenever I scroll down, this text will have to pop up. Make it only one time. And it's not even necessary to pop up that way. It can just fade in up. That would be a very nice transition. So scrolling down here, the same thing applies here. Same thing we talked about in the previous one. See all should be what? Visit store to see all products, or see all products in our store. Something like that. But there should be a mention of the store or the shop. This one, I don't like this. Okay, these images are nice since they are transition. I don't like that image that showed just before this one. Very ugly. The hand is not looking very nice to me. So just need to use images that actually appeal very well for your client website, except that is the model they are actually using, and that will make more sense. But if not, use images that have more appealing interface. The same thing applies to this one. The text should be broken into two. And by the way, I never talked about this. The text is too small. You use like 14 pixels of text, as I can tell with my brain. This is 14 pixels. If you want, if we inspect it with our font ninja, we'll still find that out. So this should be within 17 pixels. Okay? So scrolling down here, every other thing looks very nice here. I like the fact this is over, and when somebody click on this, they can visit the store itself, the blog post itself. This section also for testimonial makes sense. See all testimonials, okay? Very good. Or visit testimonial page. This section also makes sense, just that the space between this is not necessary. So you can adjust this to start from here and end here, okay? Your background here is not really nice, I must tell you, okay? Your background here is not, why it's not nice is because the colors here are a little bit faded and they actually almost mixed with the background. So make this purple a little more darker so you can pop out this content a little more. You get the point? So that is all you need to do from here. That is all for HB Concept, and I score you 7.5 out of 10. Now go to next one. My test site. I think this is from one of our members also, and let's just get into this very quickly. Okay, I like the horizontal menu style here. I think I used something like this in a store for a store I created in 2020. I think that is Starline NG. Okay, Starline NG. That's the store. That makes more sense. I love the layout. It makes more sense. I love the mega menu you used here. Very, very interesting to me. Very interesting to me. Okay, now, one of the things I want to point out here is that if there is any menu that have a content, like about us on all of these menus, there should be a drop down signifying that this is actually a drop down. So people will easily understand what they are clicking on and understand that this is not just get in and just click on it. I don't know if I click on this, if this will open an About Us page. It actually opens an About Us page, and that doesn't make much sense. If you are actually using this as an About Us page, then it shouldn't be a mega menu. Okay? About Us page shouldn't be a mega menu. So if you want to do this, all of this won't be a link. All of this, none of them would be a clickable link. Because if this is clickable, it is now making this futile or null. It's making this these stuffs we just did now, it's making these options now like as if they are not useful, as if they are content inside of this page we just opened. Okay, so this is what you're going to do in this case. About us, then you have another, make it not clickable, okay, then have another About Us option. And for the fact that I'm hovering on this and the icon is disappearing, doesn't make sense. So do it like the rest of them will make more sense, okay? About us, there should be another About Us option here, or about the company. You can say about the company. Then about will be here. Then I say about the company. You see, as we have about the publisher and so on and so forth. Or about the brand, something like that. Make it easier for people to know. Just put an arrow down, make it also easier. Your button here makes more sense. The pop-up button that hovers, just the hover style is okay. You don't need to make the button jump or scale. It doesn't make any sense scaling. Okay, make it easier for people. Make it easier for people. So don't make it scale like this. Wouldn't make much sense. Okay, read more. I should also be able to click on this. That's perfect. So I can visit the blog posts. Everything here looks fine, but the icons, the other one showing a different color and the other one showing a different color makes it a little bit confusing to me. And the topic itself should be left aligned. Everything, just as this one is left aligned to this side, matching with the content here, the same should apply to the topic from over here. The rest of the things here are okay and perfect to me. Okay, scrolling down, we get to this section where we have two content type, color content type, and this text. This text is too small. This is 16 pixels you are using here, I think. So increase this to 18 pixels for hero section, 18 pixels, and the thickness should be 400 pixels. For thickness, 400 pixels. Okay, so that will make more sense. 18 pixels, 400 pixels. Now this text itself, this background for this button is bright yellow. It's not the same which we are using here. So since it's very brighter than this one we are using here, I would suggest to use a black text or a green text for this one. If not, make it the same color with the one you are using from over here. And remove this effect that makes it jump and disrespect the layout size. Just make it a change of color and that will make more sense. As you can see from here, when we hover on this text, it just changes the color and very subtle, not making it too distracting for users, okay? Then scrolling down here, this section should be one line. This content should be one line. So to achieve that, you have to break this particular one to actually adjoin with this particular space, and there will be more space created for this particular one. If not, make sure the container guiding this one should be wider to accommodate the content we have from here. I am not a fan of scaling for elements. It's very distracting and very uncanny. So remove that option. I think this option for the text itself to change its opacity as we have from here, the opacity changes a little. It makes more sense that way, making it easier for user to know what they are clicking on. Okay, that will make more sense. Read more should have a hover option. When I hover on this, I should know that this is a clickable button. And also your button to your blogs shouldn't be equal to your button to other pages. These are primary buttons. A blog button should be a secondary button, not a primary button. So let me show you an instance of that. This is an instance of a secondary button. Let me show you another instance of a secondary button. Okay, we didn't find another secondary button from here, but that's a secondary button. You see, it's either having a stroke on it or it is just a line beneath it, a text and a line beneath it. That will make more sense for blogs because everything here is clickable. So no need of adding that option anymore. So make it so that it won't be distracting. People will know exactly, they know that this is actually what they're actually going to see. The space between these elements is too much, so bring them closer to each other, and the thickness here is too much. Reduce the thickness very well. Thickness here also is too much. Reduce it to 400 pixels, and that's enough. Thickness to this element is too much. Reduce it to 400 pixels for thickness, and that's enough. Okay, I love this section. Let me see if it happens again when you scroll to that section. Very fine, it doesn't happen again. So break this line is too much here, but you can still leave it like this. But if you can, break it into two and reduce the size of this. The size is too bold. Look at the sizes we use for sections like this. You see the size we use here, consistent. Let's scroll down. See the size we use here, consistent. See the size we use here, consistent. Consistent all over the sections. So your sizing should be consistent. If you are using a specific size at a particular layout like we are using from here, it should be consistent with the size we are using from this other place. And also another thing I want you to work on is your font. Your font is very ugly. The font you are using overall is very, very ugly. So you should use Poppins or you should use Enter. Poppins or Enter will make more sense. Poppins, Enter, this other one, create to display. But Poppins and Enter, those two basics will make more sense. Okay? Those two will make more sense. I don't like this font. It's very ugly. Very ugly, I must say. So the space between navigation challenge and this are too far from each other. Okay? There shouldn't be too much of space. As you can see from here, there shouldn't be too much of space from the layout. There shouldn't be too much of space from the layout. So bring them closer to each other and unite them so that they can be one. This area makes more sense. Very nice. But just that as you didn't add a stroke, that's why it's jumping. See, your elements are jumping. Okay, so make sure you add a stroke around this border radius, a stroke around it, and that stroke should be the same color of the fill color, which is this green. Okay, and now when somebody hover on it, it will not have any issue. Okay, so that's what you're going to do from over there. Scrolling down here, everything works fine. See, read all article here makes more sense. And the size here, I like the size you use here. If it is the size you're going to be applying to this other area, it will be consistent. This section looks very beautiful. And now you use a little bit of secondary or tertiary button from here, I think, and it makes more sense, differentiating it from other major buttons we have in the website. As you can see, in this yellow area, you use the black text, which makes it more visible, and that's what I want you to do in the hero section also, and possibly here. Yellow background should use darker text, and darker background should use brighter text. There is no consistency of padding top and padding bottom in your sections. No consistency. You see, we have a different padding top here, and we have a padding bottom here, but we have a different padding top here, different size here. The size of padding here might be 120 and the size here might be 80. It's not the same thing. So make sure your padding is consistent all over your sections. We have a padding here of around 80 pixels, and now we don't even have a padding here, whether this is 10 pixels or what. So there should be a consistency of padding all over your content. Okay, and your button is not consistent also. We have a box button here, and now we have a circle button here. Why? So scrolling down here, these other sections make it the size of the text a little more smaller, and you're using a different text here, which gets me a little more confused. Very, very confused. A different text also here, but the other area we are not using different text here. We're not using the same text you are using in that other area. So why? So your text should be consistent. Use one text for SEO purposes. There should be consistency of typography. So for SEO purposes, so that Google won't be indexing a different font and come here and get to the footer and start indexing a totally different font. Okay? But if you want to use this, use it all over the website. Make it consistent. I don't know what this is. Okay, move to the top. It's not necessary. The website page is too short for you to add a move to the top. Okay? It's not necessary at all. So there's no necessity for this at all because the page is short. If the page is too long, you can add this. And you can even use a better one, not this one. There are ones that you can add as a circle button that will work automatically. Just add the plugin, and when you click on it, it just works automatically. Just a little bit of styling, and you are good to go. Apart from that, every other thing here looks nice, except for the fact you have not added the links to this one. I know, I understand that also. The text here should be very, very layered. The color should be very reduced, not too bright and vibrant like that. Okay, so as you can see from here, we reduce the color a little more, and then the font also follows suit. Don't use a very thick and heavy font here. Then reduce the color a little. Just this color reduction here is also okay, not too bright as this. So that is it for you, and I score you a 7.5 out of 10. I think this is lazy. Now we get to the final one, which is from Dara. Dara again. Dara submitted one, and Dara submitted again. So Dara, you did a very wonderful work here, and for this price section, you did very well. Okay, testimonial. I see the closeness of this element. You did very wonderful here, I must say. I'm not trying to replicate this option as we have from here. I really love that. Okay, did very well there, and adding all these options and pricing and all of these informations makes more sense. Also creating two div here and using this specifically for this div and then this for this div. You did very, very wonderful work. Your button here, I don't like it. When you hover on this button, it should possibly show a darker version of this color, and you are good to go. Don't even change the text, and you are good to go. Okay? Or if you want to change the color and make it very obvious, you should make it very obvious. The text also will have to follow suit. But don't add a border radius. No, this border radius is very ugly. And the text on a white background, very ugly too. You should use a dark text on a bright background, and a bright text or sharp bright text on a dark background. Okay, so for this, make it dark text, dark background, and leave the text as it is. This section you did very wonderfully well, very, very wonderfully well here, I must say. And the use of your background and the boxes here, you did very, very wonderful well, very, 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 very wonderfully well from here, very wonderfully well from here. And by the way, this is a sample from a friend's website, and I have to share with you to actually play around to see what you can do. If you can do this, you can do wonderful websites, I must say. This took a lot of time to compile, and I must say I give you kudos for this. This is 8.5 out of 10. And that wraps it up for our revision for this month. The next time we'll be getting our revision should be next month, or possibly by the end of this month, if we get more submissions for next week. Once again, my name is Manuel from Kata Studios. If you want to find more revision, you can check the playlist of revision to check more revisions. And don't just watch revisions specifically for yourself. Watch revision on corrections from others too, so you can learn from mistakes that others do, so you don't repeat those mistakes. Do have a wonderful day.